She filed a restraining order claiming I was emotionally unstable for questioning her spending. I didn't contest it. I just closed all the paperwork and canceled the lease I had guaranteed. Her lawyer called within 24 hours, begging me to work something out. That was 3 weeks ago. Today I'm sitting in my Honda Civic outside the Starbucks on 5th Street, watching my wife of 4 years meet her boyfriend. She doesn't know I know about him yet. She thinks she's clever. Sarah adjusts her new designer handbag, the one I supposedly never bought her, and leans across the small table to touch his hand. He's tall, probably 6'2", with that corporate haircut that screams middle management. His BMW is parked 2 spaces from her Mercedes, the same Mercedes I've been making payments on for 18 months. I sip my coffee and open my laptop. The beauty of being an IT specialist is that most people think you just fix printers. They have no idea what else you can do with the right access and a patient mind. My phone buzzes. Text from Sarah. Working late tonight. Don't wait up. I almost laugh. It's 2 p.m. Through the window, I watch her lean forward, whispering something that makes him smile. He has perfect teeth, the kind that come from expensive dental work. His watch catches the light. Rolex Submariner, maybe 15 grand. Sarah giggles at something he says. I haven't heard her laugh like that in months, maybe longer. My fingers move across the keyboard, pulling up the bank statements I've been avoiding. The evidence was always there, buried in transaction codes and merchant names I didn't recognize. Coffee shops I'd never been to, restaurants we'd never visited together, hotel charges during business trips that didn't exist. The credit card statement shows a pattern going back 6 months. Every Thursday, the same routine. Lunch at expensive places, shopping at stores I couldn't afford, gas charges from a station near his office building. I close the laptop and start my car. They're still talking, completely absorbed in each other. Sarah's wearing the red dress I complimented her on last week. She said she bought it for our anniversary dinner. Apparently she had other plans for it. At home, our apartment feels different, smaller. The walls we painted together last spring seem closer now, pressing in. I walk through the rooms, seeing everything with new eyes. The expensive throw pillows she insisted we needed, the artwork that cost more than my car payment, the wine collection she started after meeting her book club friends. I pull out my phone and scroll through our shared calendar. Every Thursday for 6 months shows the same entry. Girls' night out. Every Thursday she's been sitting across from Mr. BMW, planning God knows what. In the bedroom, I open her jewelry box, half empty. I remember when she said she was taking pieces to get cleaned. Apparently they needed cleaning at his place. The laptop opens again, and I start a new document. Time to make a list. Her secrets aren't the only thing that needs organizing. The next morning, Sarah acts normal. Coffee, small talk about the weather, a kiss on the cheek before she leaves for her freelance writing assignments. She's gotten good at lying. I almost respect the skill. I call in sick to work and spend the day in reconnaissance mode. Following someone isn't hard when they think they're invisible. Sarah drives to his office building downtown, parks in the visitor section, and disappears inside for 3 hours. When she emerges, they walk together to his BMW. He opens the passenger door for her. They drive to a hotel on the other side of town, the Marriott with the expensive restaurant and the rooms that charge by the hour if you know who to ask. I don't follow them inside. I don't need to see that part. Instead, I drive to the public library and use their internet connection to research. His name is David Sterling. Works for Morrison Tech Solutions as a sales director. Divorced 2 years ago. Lives alone in a condo that costs more per month than I make in 2. The divorce records are public information. His ex-wife cited irreconcilable differences, but the settlement details tell a different story. Adultery clause triggered, which means she caught him cheating. Sarah isn't his first rodeo. I print everything and drive home. The apartment feels like a museum now. Every object tells a story I didn't know I was living. The expensive champagne, she said, was a gift from her sister. The lingerie she claimed was for my birthday that I never got to see. The perfume that smelled different when she came home late. My phone rings. It's Jake from work. You sound terrible, man. Food poisoning? Something like that. Well, don't rush back. Johnson's been covering your server maintenance stuff. Guy's actually pretty good at it. After I hang up, I stare at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. 32 years old, thinning hair, shoulders that slope from too many hours hunched over a keyboard. No wonder she went looking elsewhere. But appearances can be deceiving. She's about to learn that the quiet IT guy she married has skills she never bothered to discover. I open the laptop and begin. First, the bank accounts. Not illegal access. I'm still a joint account holder on everything except her personal checking. But joint accounts leave trails, and trails tell stories. The credit monitoring service we signed up for last year gives me access to her credit report, recent inquiries from luxury car dealerships, applications for credit cards I knew nothing about, a loan application for $30,000 that got approved last month. She's been building a separate financial life. Smart girl, not smart enough. I create a spreadsheet with every transaction, every date, every pattern. 6 months of deception laid out in columns and rows. The evidence is overwhelming, but evidence isn't revenge. Revenge requires precision. My phone buzzes. Another text from Sarah. Meeting running late. Order dinner without me. It's Thursday. Of course she's running late. I text back, no problem, take your time. Then I get to work. The beauty of modern life is how much depends on passwords and security questions. Sarah uses the same password for everything, our anniversary date plus her maiden name. She thinks she's being sentimental. Her email account opens like a flower, revealing months of correspondence with David. The early messages are cautious, professional, then flirty, then explicit enough to make me close the laptop and walk away. When I come back an hour later, I'm calmer. This isn't about emotion anymore, it's about consequences. The emails reveal their timeline. It started at a conference 6 months ago. Innocent drinks that turned into dinner. Dinner that turned into a hotel room. A hotel room that turned into regular Thursday meetings and weekend work trips when I thought she was visiting her mother. But the most interesting messages are recent ones. They're making plans. Real plans. Sarah wants to leave me, but she's worried about the financial implications. David's been coaching her on how to maximize her settlement, which lawyers to use, how to protect assets I don't even know we have. She's not just cheating on me. She's strategically destroying my life. I screenshot everything and save the files to 3 different cloud storage accounts. Then I read through their plan, step by step. First, she'll claim I'm mentally unstable, document incidents of aggressive behavior, build a case for emotional abuse. The restraining order was just the opening move. Then she'll file for divorce and claim financial dependence. The freelance writing income she reports to the IRS is barely minimum wage, even though she's been making much more through cash payments she never declared. On paper, she looks like the helpless spouse who needs alimony. Finally, she'll claim I threatened her safety. That's where the $30,000 loan comes in. She's planning to disappear for a few months, letting David support her while the divorce proceedings drag on. By the time it's over, she'll have half of everything I own plus monthly payments for the next decade. It's actually brilliant. If I were someone else, it might even work. But I'm not someone else. I'm the guy who built the security system she's trying to navigate around. The guy who knows exactly how much digital evidence exists and where it's stored. The guy who's about to turn her own plan against her. I start with something simple. Her car payment is automatically deducted from our joint checking account. I transfer the funds to savings 30 minutes before the payment processes. Her check bounces. Next, the insurance payment on her Mercedes. Same trick. Another bounced payment. Credit card minimums get the same treatment. Small amounts, but enough to trigger late fees and damage her credit score. By the time Sarah gets home that night, She's received 4 automated messages about failed payments. She stares at her phone, confused. The bank must have made some kind of error, she says, not looking at me. Probably just a computer glitch, I agree. You know how technology can be. She doesn't catch the irony. That weekend, she discovers the late fees, and the credit score ding, and the threatening letter from the car dealership about repossession. This is insane, she says, waving the papers around our kitchen. I've never missed a payment on anything. Maybe you should call the bank on Monday, I suggest. Get it sorted out. She does call. They explain that insufficient funds caused the bounced payments. She argues that there should have been enough money. The customer service representative politely suggests she review her account activity more carefully. When she checks the account online, everything looks normal. The transfers to savings happened after the failed payments, so the timeline appears clean. It looks like she just miscalculated her available balance. Sarah stares at the screen for 20 minutes, trying to figure out what went wrong. I watch from the doorway, sipping my coffee. Technology can be tricky sometimes, I say, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. The second week, things get interesting. Sarah's appointment with her divorce lawyer gets mysteriously canceled when their office receives an anonymous complaint about her attorney's supposed conflicts of interest with our case. Nothing official, just enough bureaucratic noise to delay everything by 2 weeks. David's BMW develops a flat tire in the hotel parking lot. All 4 tires, actually. Security cameras were conveniently down for maintenance that day. The tires weren't slashed, just deflated with a small puncture that would look like a normal leak until air started escaping under pressure. He has to call a tow truck and miss his Thursday afternoon meeting with Sarah. She waits at Starbucks for 2 hours before getting his text about the car emergency. Sarah comes home frustrated that night. She keeps checking her phone, probably waiting for David to call. When he finally does, I'm in the next room pretending to watch television. No, I understand, she says into the phone. These things happen. But I can hear the doubt in her voice, the first crack in her confidence. Friday morning, Sarah's personal checking account, the one she opened without telling me, gets frozen due to suspicious activity. Someone reported potential identity theft after noticing unusual spending patterns. The bank's fraud department takes these things seriously. The report came from me, of course. Anonymous tip through their online security portal, backed up with documentation about spending inconsistent with her reported income. All true, technically. She has been spending way above her declared means. The investigation will take weeks to resolve. In the meantime, she has access to exactly $0 from her secret account. This has to be connected, Sarah says that evening, pacing around our living room. First the car payments, now this. Someone's targeting our accounts. Who would do something like that? I ask, looking up from my laptop. I don't know. Maybe someone from your work? You IT people know how to hack things, right? I laugh, actually laugh. Sarah, I fix printer drivers and install software updates. I'm not some cyber criminal mastermind. She looks at me like she's seeing me for the first time. Really looking. I can almost hear the gears turning in her head, trying to reconcile the harmless guy she married with the possibility that he might be more dangerous than she thought. But she dismisses the idea. After all, I'm just the quiet husband who never fights back, never asks difficult questions, never demands explanations for her Thursday absences. She has no idea what she's dealing with. That weekend, David's company receives an anonymous complaint about sales representatives using corporate resources for personal business. Someone reported that a Morrison Tech employee was conducting personal meetings during work hours and using company parking facilities for non-business activities. Corporate takes a dim view of that kind of behavior. David gets called into his manager's office Monday morning for a very uncomfortable conversation about appropriate use of company time and facilities. Sarah texts me Tuesday afternoon. David's having work problems. Might need to cancel our lunch. I text back. Sorry to hear that. Hope everything works out. Then I lean back in my office chair and smile. Everything's working out exactly as planned. Week 3 is when Sarah starts to panic. Her secret credit card gets denied at the grocery store. The bank claims she's exceeded her credit limit, which is impossible since she's barely used the card, except she has used it. The statement shows dozens of small charges at gas stations and restaurants across the city. Places she's never been, times when she was provably somewhere else. Someone's been using her card number to make purchases. Someone who knows her spending habits well enough to keep the charges small and random. Someone who understands that fraud investigators look for patterns, so the key is avoiding patterns entirely. Sarah spends hours on the phone with the credit card company, disputing charges. They're sympathetic, but thorough. Each disputed charge requires documentation. Receipts, statements, proof of whereabouts during the transaction times. It's exhausting and time-consuming, which is exactly the point. Meanwhile, David's work situation deteriorates. His manager receives additional complaints about inappropriate use of company resources. This time, the complaints include specific dates, times, and locations. Hotel parking lots during work hours. Extended lunch breaks that coincide with personal meetings. Use of company phones for personal calls, corporate launches of formal investigation. David gets reassigned to a different department while they review his conduct. His commission structure gets suspended pending the outcome. Sarah doesn't know about David's problems yet. She's too busy dealing with her own crisis. The apartment lease renewal notice arrives addressed only to me. Sarah's name has been removed from all documents due to the restraining order she filed. Since she legally cannot be in the same residence as me, the leasing company assumes she's moving out. The lease expires in 60 days. If she wants to remain on the lease, she'll need to resolve the restraining order situation. If she wants to move out, she'll need to find a new place that accepts her current credit score and income level. Good luck with that. Sarah discovers the lease problem Thursday morning. She's holding the paperwork when I come out of the bedroom, still in her pajamas, hair uncombed, looking like she hasn't slept. "They can't do this," she says, waving the papers. "I live here too." "Actually, they can," I reply, pouring coffee like this is a normal conversation. The restraining order creates a legal conflict with joint tenancy. They're protecting themselves from liability. "How do you know so much about tenant law?" "I've been doing research, figured I should understand my rights and obligations." She stares at me with something approaching suspicion. "Since when do you research anything besides computer manuals?" I shrug. People change. Maybe I'm not as passive as you thought. For the first time since this started, I see real fear in her eyes. Not panic about money or logistics. Fear of me. Fear that the man she thought she knew completely might be someone else entirely. "I need to call David," she says. "On a Thursday morning? Won't he be at work?" The question hangs in the air between us. She doesn't answer, just takes her phone and goes into the bedroom. I can hear her voice through the door, but not the words. Urgent, desperate. When she comes out 20 minutes later, she looks defeated. "Everything okay?" I ask. "David's going through some work stuff. He can't really help right now." "That's too bad." "What kind of work stuff?" "I don't know. Something about company policies and investigations." She looks at me carefully. "You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" "Why would I know anything about David's work problems?" I didn't mention his name. The words hang between us like a challenge. She knows that I know, and now I know that she knows I know. But neither of us is ready for the direct confrontation yet. "Lucky guess," I say. "You've mentioned him before." It's a lie, and we both know it. But it gives us both an excuse to keep pretending for a little while longer. The game isn't over yet. Sarah stops pretending on Friday. She comes home from her writing assignment and finds me in the kitchen making dinner for one. "We need to talk," she says. "About what?" "Don't. Just don't." She sits down at the table and looks at me directly for the first time in months. "I know you know about David." I turn off the stove and sit across from her. David Sterling, Sales director at Morrison Tech, divorced, lives in the Riverside condos, BMW, Rolex, expensive dental work. Her face goes white. How long have you known? 6 months, since the beginning. Why didn't you say anything? What was I supposed to say? Honey, I know you're cheating on me. Could you please stop? Would that have worked? She doesn't answer. I tried talking to you, I continue. Asked about your schedule, about the money, about why you seemed so distant. You filed a restraining order and called me emotionally unstable. I was scared. Of me? I never raised my voice, never threatened you, never did anything except ask questions. You were watching me, following me. It felt invasive. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Invasive. Like having an affair for 6 months isn't invasive? Like planning to divorce me and take half my assets isn't invasive? How do you know about the emails, the financial planning, the legal strategy sessions? Sarah, I've been married to you for 4 years. I know your passwords. I know your habits. I know everything. She stands up suddenly, backing away from the table. This is crazy. You're crazy. Am I? Let's see. You started sleeping with David in March after meeting him at a conference. You've been using Thursdays for your regular meetings and weekends when I thought you were visiting your mother. You opened secret accounts, applied for credit cards I didn't know about, and took out a $30,000 loan to fund your exit strategy. Her mouth opens, but no words come out. You planned to claim I was abusive, get a restraining order, file for divorce, and disappear for a few months while David supported you. Then you'd come back and claim half of everything, plus alimony, based on your artificially low reported income. Stop. It was actually a good plan. If you'd been married to someone else, it might have worked. I said stop. But you weren't married to someone else. You were married to me, and I'm not the helpless victim you thought I was. Sarah grabs her purse and heads for the door. I'm leaving. Where are you going? David can't help you right now. His company suspended his commission pending their investigation. Your secret account is frozen. Your credit cards are maxed out with fraudulent charges. Your credit score is in the toilet. She stops with her hand on the doorknob. The lease expires in 60 days, I continue. You can't afford to stay here alone, and you can't afford to move somewhere else. David's about to lose his job, so he can't support you. Your lawyer postponed your case because of ethics complaints. What exactly is your plan here? She turns around slowly. What do you want? Want? I don't want anything. I already got what I needed. Which is what? Justice. The word sits between us like a bomb. This isn't justice, she says. This is revenge. Same thing in this case. I never meant for it to happen. It just happened. Nothing just happened, Sarah. You made choices. Every Thursday for 6 months, you made choices. Every lie you told, every dollar you hid, every email you sent planning my destruction. Those were choices. Tears start flowing down her cheeks. Real tears, not the manipulative kind she used when she wanted something. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're scared. There's a difference. What happens now? I stand up and walk to the window. Outside, the street looks normal. People coming home from work, kids playing in yards, life continuing like nothing has changed. Now you deal with the consequences of your choices. Are you divorcing me? I don't need to. You already filed the paperwork. All that's left is working out the details. And what details are those? I turn back to face her. Simple. You get nothing. Saturday morning, Sarah is gone when I wake up. Her clothes are still in the closet, her toiletries still in the bathroom, but she's nowhere in the apartment. I check my phone. No messages. I make coffee and breakfast, trying to decide if I should be worried. Then I remember that this isn't my problem anymore. She made her choice to leave. Where she goes and how she survives is up to her. Around noon, my phone rings. Unknown number. Hello? This is David Sterling. I think we need to talk. I almost hang up, but curiosity wins. About what? About this game you've been playing. It needs to stop. I don't know what you're talking about. The hell you don't. The complaints to my company, the credit card fraud, the tire slashing, all of it. That's a pretty serious accusation. Do you have proof? Silence on the other end. Of course he doesn't have proof. That's the beauty of the whole thing. Sarah told me you know about us, he finally says. Sarah told you correctly. Look, I understand you're upset, but this vendetta thing isn't helping anyone. Vendetta? I prefer to think of it as consequences. We can work this out like adults. Really? How exactly would that work? I don't know. Counseling? Mediation? Something that doesn't involve destroying people's lives. I laugh. Actually laugh out loud. You're concerned about destroying lives? That's rich. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. But people did get hurt. Me, specifically. So now other people get to experience that feeling. This isn't going to bring her back to you. I don't want her back. I want her to understand what she did. She understands. She's crying in my apartment right now because her whole life is falling apart. The image of Sarah crying in another man's apartment should make me feel something. Guilt, maybe. Or satisfaction. Instead, I feel nothing at all. That's interesting, I say. I thought your lease prohibited overnight guests for more than 3 consecutive nights. Might want to check your rental agreement. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you helpful advice. Landlords take lease violations seriously, especially when they receive anonymous complaints about tenants who might be subletting without permission. You're insane. So I've been told. It's funny how people resort to that word when they're losing an argument. What do you want? Money? I'll pay you to stop this. You think this is about money? Everything's about money. See, that's where you're wrong. This is about something much more important than money. Which is what? Respect. I hang up. An hour later, Sarah calls. Please, she says without preamble. Just tell me what you want. I want you to understand what you did to me. I understand. I cheated. I lied. I planned to leave you. I understand all of it. No, you don't. You understand the actions, but you don't understand the impact. You don't understand what it feels like to discover that your entire life is a lie. So you're destroying mine to teach me a lesson? I'm letting you experience the same emotions I experienced. Betrayal, helplessness, the feeling that someone you trusted is systematically dismantling everything you thought was secure. How is that justice? Because now you know how it feels. Now you understand that actions have consequences. Now you realize that the quiet, passive guy you married isn't as helpless as you thought. I get it. You've made your point. Can we stop now? We can stop when you've lost everything you tried to take from me. What does that mean? It means David's company is going to fire him next week when their investigation concludes. It means your divorce lawyer is going to withdraw from your case due to the ethics complaints. It means your credit is ruined and your secret accounts are empty. You can't do this. I already did it. I'll go to the police. And tell them what? That your husband discovered your affair and got upset about it? That financial difficulties started happening after you filed a false restraining order? That your boyfriend's company investigated him for misconduct? She doesn't respond. The beauty of consequences, Sarah, is that they look completely natural. Bad luck. Poor choices. Random misfortune. Nobody can prove anything else. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You just don't realize it yet. I hang up and turn off my phone. Monday morning, I go back to work. Jake asks how I'm feeling, and I tell him much better. The food poisoning is completely cleared up. Good, he says, because Johnson screwed up the server maintenance while you were out. Somehow managed to crash the backup system. Took us all weekend to fix it. Some people just don't have the touch, I say. That afternoon, David Sterling gets called into his manager's office and terminated for misuse of company resources. The investigation found evidence of personal use of company time, facilities, and equipment. His final paycheck will be reduced by the calculated value of resources misappropriated. He calls me that evening. "Are you happy now?" he asks. "I'm satisfied. I lost my job. Actions have consequences." "What about Sarah? What's she supposed to do now?" "That's between you and her. You two made this mess together. You can figure out how to deal with it together. She can't go back to you. I wouldn't take her back if she begged." "Then what's the point of all this?" "The point is that she learns what betrayal feels like. The point is that you learn that other people's marriages aren't your playground. The point is that neither of you gets to walk away from this unscathed. You've destroyed two people's lives. You destroyed mine first. I'm just returning the favor. This is sick. This is justice." I hang up. Wednesday, Sarah comes back to the apartment. She looks terrible, exhausted, defeated, wearing the same clothes she had on when she left Saturday morning. "David broke up with me," she says. I don't respond. He said the stress was too much. He said he couldn't handle being with someone whose life was so complicated. Complicated? That's an interesting way to put it. He blamed me for his job situation. Said if I hadn't involved him in my marital problems, none of this would have happened. He has a point. She sits down at the kitchen table and puts her head in her hands. I don't know what to do. You could try getting a real job. Report your actual income. Build a legitimate credit history. Live within your means. I can't afford an apartment on what I actually make. Then maybe you should have thought about that before burning down the life you had. I made a mistake. You made dozens of mistakes. For 6 months. That's not a mistake, Sarah. That's a pattern of choices. What happens now? Now you experience the consequences of your choices. You figure out how to survive without my financial support. You rebuild your credit. You find somewhere to live that you can actually afford. And if I can't? I shrug. Then you learn what rock bottom feels like. She looks up at me with something approaching hatred. You used to love me. I used to think I knew you. Turns out I was wrong. People make mistakes. People deserve second chances. Some mistakes are too big for second chances. So that's it? 4 years of marriage and it just ends? It ended 6 months ago when you started sleeping with David. I just didn't know it yet. She starts crying again. This time I don't feel anything at all. No sympathy, no guilt, no satisfaction. Just emptiness, where my feelings for her used to be. I'm sorry, she whispers. I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix what you broke. What if I end the divorce proceedings? What if we try counseling? Sarah, look at me. She raises her head. I don't love you anymore. I don't like you. I don't trust you. I don't want to be married to you. Even if you could somehow undo everything you did, which you can't, it wouldn't matter. You destroyed everything we had. So then why did you do all this? Why didn't you just divorce me quietly? Because I wanted you to understand the cost of your choices. I wanted you to experience what you put me through. I wanted you to know that actions have consequences. And now that I know, now you live with it. The divorce papers arrive the following Monday. Sarah's lawyer withdrew from the case, so she's representing herself. The documents are poorly formatted and full of basic legal errors. She's asking for spousal support and half of our assets. But her financial affidavit shows her secret accounts and the $30,000 loan she never told me about. I forward everything to my attorney with a note. Please handle this appropriately. 2 weeks later, Sarah calls me at work. Your lawyer is asking for documentation on every penny I've spent in the last year, she says. Sounds reasonable. Divorce proceedings require full financial disclosure. But some of those transactions were personal. Adultery isn't protected by privacy laws, Sarah. You're going to make me lay out the entire affair in court documents? I'm not making you do anything. You created the evidence. My lawyer is just cataloging it. This is vindictive. This is thorough. What do you want from me? Nothing. I want nothing from you at all. Then why are you fighting the settlement? I'm not fighting anything. I'm responding to your requests with appropriate documentation. If you don't want your affair made part of the public record, you're welcome to withdraw your requests for alimony and asset division. Long silence. I can't survive without support. That's not my problem anymore. A judge won't let me starve. A judge will make decisions based on the evidence presented, and the evidence shows that you committed adultery, hid assets, filed false restraining orders, and planned to defraud me of marital property. Good luck explaining that. She hangs up. The final divorce decree comes through 6 weeks later. Sarah gets nothing. No alimony, no asset division, no support of any kind. She's responsible for her own debts and legal fees. The judge noted in his decision that her conduct throughout the marriage and divorce proceedings demonstrated a pattern of deception and manipulation inconsistent with the equitable principles underlying marital dissolution law. I read the decision twice, then file it away, and go back to work. That evening, Jake asks if I want to grab dinner and celebrate my return to bachelor life. Thanks, I say, but I'm not really in a celebrating mood. Come on, man, you're free. No more married life, no more joint bank accounts, no more asking permission to buy stuff. This is supposed to be the good part. I think about it. Maybe next week. You sure you're okay? You seem different. Different how? I don't know. Calmer, maybe? Like you figured something out. He's not wrong. I have figured something out. I figured out that I'm not the passive, harmless guy everyone thought I was. I figured out that intelligence and patience are more powerful than anger and violence. I figured out that justice and revenge can look exactly the same if you plan carefully enough. Most importantly, I figured out that people who underestimate quiet men do so at their own peril. I'm good, I tell Jake. Better than I've been in a long time. 3 months later, I see Sarah at a grocery store. She's working as a cashier, wearing a uniform polo shirt and name tag. She looks older, thinner, tired in a way that goes deeper than just physical exhaustion. Our eyes meet across the checkout lanes. She nods slightly, a gesture that might be acknowledgement or apology or just reflex. I nod back and continue shopping. At the checkout, I deliberately choose a different lane, not because I'm afraid to face her, but because we have nothing left to say to each other. The conversation ended months ago when she learned that actions have consequences. As I'm loading groceries into my car, I see her through the window taking a break in the employee parking area. She's sitting on a concrete barrier, smoking a cigarette and staring at nothing. For a moment, just a moment, I almost feel sorry for her. Then I remember the emails, the secret accounts, the restraining order, the plan to destroy my life and take everything I'd worked for. I get in my car and drive home to my new apartment. It's smaller than the place we shared, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every decision about paint colors, every choice about how to spend my evenings, all mine. The quiet guy she underestimated has learned to enjoy his solitude.